Hello, everybody. Elizabeth Johnston here, your story and creativity coach. And I'm super stoked today to be talking to Matt Travis, rapid transformation therapist. And before we jump into talking about using story in your business, Matt, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and who you serve and what's going on with you right now?
Yeah, so glad to be here, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me. So my name is Matt Travis. I live right outside between Worcester and Boston, Massachusetts. And I've been in the health and wellness field for the past 15 years. And it's evolved, which we'll talk about in a moment, but it's evolved to the point where, I really love serving moms and mom entrepreneurs and really helping them put their oxygen mask on first so that they can, have the family life that they want, have the business that they want, really just be the best version of themselves. And the ripple effect is amazing because when you get mom healthy and happy, everybody else follows suit. So
Yeah, definitely. And actually, just like a side question, did you have sort of a curve, a learning curve for yourself about how to position yourself as a male who helps women? Because
oh yeah.
I wondered about that. Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of imposter syndrome around that, but it's
Oh,
interesting. And I mean, when I share my story today,
yeah.
you'll kind of see
Okay.
how it happened.
Yeah.
But it's the type of thing where I didn't start that way. It just the universe kind of unfolded
Oh,
into that
okay.
type of thing. So that's kind of how
Cool.
it
Cool.
we end up where we're supposed to be, really.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So the topic today for our chat is about the importance of story in an entrepreneur's business. And so can you speak to that and how you came to realize how important story was?
Yeah, when we first met, Elizabeth, like I love what you do. And any of you that are watching this, like if you don't know, if you're not aware of like what your story is or how you can tell it in a way that's going to make sense, and really have people get to know, like, and trust you in a much more authentic way. Like Elizabeth is your person. Like she does the things that everybody needs to know. This, like, everyone needs to know how important their story is in their entrepreneurial journey. I like the quote, like, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And like my whole story is about like how much I care so much about helping people that I destroyed my own health in the process of doing it,
Yeah.
right? So it is really, really important to understand not just what your story is, but what's the best way to share it and really get it so that you're not like going on for a half an hour, right? Like it's really pulling it into this space where, like, I have a 3-minute version, I have a 5-minute version, I have a 10-minute version, depending on the people that I'm speaking to. And I know that's the things that you work on with people, is really helping them understand, like, this is, everybody has a story to tell, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has a story to tell. And I think a lot of people, they either don't know what that is for them because they're not really aware of it. And that's one of the beautiful things that you bring out in people, but also just like it's a part of your superpower, I guess, is the best way to say it. Bringing James Lamb in here, but it's
Yeah.
part of your superpower. It's part of, like, people want to know where you're coming from, right?
Yeah.
Like I say all the time, like, people work with you because they're like, oh, well, you've been through that. It's a way of creating this rapport and relationship as well.
Exactly. Exactly. And for you, as a therapist, how did it help you show up with more clarity and direction and focus in your business once you were able to unearth your story and really understand the significance of that for your business?
Yeah, it actually is what led me to be a rapid transformation therapist. Like like I started uh, as basically got out of college, physical education teacher. I fell in love with fitness, and I was like, all right, I'm going to open this gym. Right. And I didn't know anything about business, like nothing. I was coaching kids in like this underground basement of this police station. And then it kind of like was like, let's open up a facility. And I got there and I realized, wow, I don't know how to actually drive clients into this. I don't know how to do this. Like was unaware. And so I had to learn all of the things that you needed to learn to be an entrepreneur and get to that next level. And I just did so much wrong. Like I basically destroyed my health, my well-being, my lifestyle, almost lost all my relationships trying to achieve that level as an entrepreneur. And I was doing really well in the business, but everything else was falling apart on the back end. Right.
Yeah.
And then I had that moment in time. I called the day that changed everything, where me and my wife, we were headed to the hospital to deal with, we had our second miscarriage. And I had my head coach at my fitness facility text that she had a breakdown. She quit via text and she kicked everybody out of the fitness facility. And I brought my wife home and I had to leave her on the couch crying to go deal with business. And at that moment in time, I knew things got to change. Like things got to change. I went to my fitness facility and I felt like I had the biggest gut punch ever, where I walked in the fitness facility and I realized like everything came crashing at that moment. I realized that I had been trying to be enough my entire life. And I tried to build all this enoughness in my external circumstance, like finish college, get my master's, get married, have a child, open a fitness facility, like doing all this stuff externally. And I, on the inside, was always chasing that enoughness. And at that moment, I was like, I got to close this fitness facility. And I did. Within 3 months, I closed it. And I knew that there was something more for me. And it was pushing, and the I am enough thing like led me back to Marissa Peer, who created Rapid Transformation Therapy. So it kind of like came full circle at that point where I realized like I need to be coaching, health, wellness, well-being, helping people in their subconscious and, helping them in their health and their business and making it stick. So that's like the journey that I went on as I went through this whole process.
Yeah. And I think the story that you were living is very common. As we grow up, we see, what our parents have done and, peers, and we think like, oh, this is just the way it goes. And, this is the next step and this is the next step. And we don't really have a lot of opportunity to tune into what our inner guidance is asking of us. And even if we're doing something that we love, oftentimes we don't know why we're doing it. Like it's just kind of second nature. But the clarity that comes about when you are really analyzing, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Because Simon Sinek says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so, your problem, you were saying about not getting enough clients or chasing to get enough clients and whatnot. But when we understand your story and can share it, then all of a sudden people can relate to you and they're drawn to you to work with you.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, so like when I was running my fitness facility, like I said before, like I started with high school, it was like high school boy athletes. It was like basketball players and football players.
Yeah.
And then over like a 3-year span, like I look out on the floor and it was high school female athletes and moms. Like those were the highest amount of people. And I just went like, this is so interesting. It just kind of like the universe like flipped it over and it allowed me to work with these amazing people that I really found like, I love working with these people. So when I closed the fitness facility, it was like working with moms was something that just lit me up. And I was like, why not just push into that in my next endeavor? So, for the first two and a half years of starting the Potential You, it was like, helping moms, right? And couples. And then I just really was like, I've spent so much money and I've invested so much time in learning how to be an entrepreneur. And like, I just love working with other entrepreneurs. So I was like, why not just put them together?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it came down to. Now, do I work with all types of people? Yeah, absolutely. Like we do a lot of different things, but there's just something really, I feel extremely blessed, and I feel like it's unique that I'm able, and I'm very grateful to be able to be in the position that I am and work with so many amazing women.
And, at the top of the interview today, our conversation, you were saying, explaining what you do, and just the words that you were using made me lean in and feel that you had a lot of caring, at the foundation of everything. And then when you shared, about your wife, and that, when the mom is happy, everybody's happy. And so you have this holistic view, it's not just like, I'm an expert, I can help you get to this goal. It really is this holistic, integrative kind of approach. And I think that's very appealing to women, because, the scholarly information out there says that men actually usually think in a more linear way and women think in a more circular way. But I think you've tapped into the benefits of being a support to, the woman in your life, and understanding those dynamics.
For sure. And it totally starts at home.
Yes.
It started at home with my own wife, loving my own mom, and when we were like, they were the first two people that I actually, like, when I was doing fitness, like those were the first two training clients I had. Right. So, and then it of course has evolved massively from that. But,
Yeah.
it all comes down to your subconscious patterns around this, right? Like how you're showing up. And I found that for me, it really comes back to just listening, asking good questions and listening. And then you're able to have a completely different insight as to the very big differences between males and females, right? And that's just that's one of the secrets, is like just paying attention, listening, right? Because this is the reality. And I say this all the time. I will never, ever know what it's like to be a woman or a mom. Like, I'll never know that. And every single day I can show up and I can listen and I can ask good questions to uncover some stories and some beliefs and some patterns and some habits and stuff like that. And really just help people dig, right? But I will never say that, I'll never know what it's like. And I can only just show up and support and really just do the best I can to be a sounding board,
Yeah. And so the next thing that you were sharing with me earlier, is that you really want to be speaking more. And so your story is going to be part of what you share when you're on the stages. And so, so that's one of the reasons to unearth your story and really understand it, so you can weave it into any kind of talk that you're giving from stage. But what is the impact that you feel that you will be able to achieve by sharing your story on different stages?
Yeah, it's everything, folks. Like, literally the formula that I use whenever I give a talk is story, value, call to action. Like, it's pretty basic, straightforward. But if people don't know where you're coming from, like if they don't know what your story is, then you're just someone else sharing information, right?
Yeah.
And if you've you've all watched movies before, you've all read books before. Why does it suck you in, right? You get you like, I love this character, right? So we're all the character of our own lives, folks.
Yeah.
And when you show up and you are able to genuinely and authentically share your life, right? And I mean, it was uncomfortable for me, Elizabeth. It was against. I remember my first coach, like that I worked with, one of the first coaches I worked with, they were like, "You need to go live and share your story," and I was like, "No." Like I was like, I'm not doing that because there's a level of vulnerability that it takes, right? Like
Yeah.
honestly, telling the story that I told about my wife, I mean, it took me probably 1 to 2 years to not cry when I
Yeah.
told that part of the story because it was painful for me
Yeah.
to have like
Mhm.
I still feel it every time I say it. I'm like, I
Yeah.
had to leave my wife at literally one of the darkest periods of our lives together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the reality is that what I learned is that I mean, it's the statistics are wild. It's like 1 in 3 women have miscarriages, right? So
Wow.
within this process, and um, I got to learn about this underground world in this place where there's a lot of people silently suffering,
Mhm.
and to be able to support people in that process, and also give the male version of
Mhm.
what it is, because it does affect the men. And a lot of times, I know, like I said, I had trouble being vulnerable, folks, and it took me a while, but I learned that when I was vulnerable and when I was authentic and when I was just being real, people pay way more attention and they listen and they want to know, they want to be in your world. They really
Mhm.
do.
Mhm.
And it just like all of the stuff that's ever happened to me in my life, like those are the people I serve, right? Especially as entrepreneurs, like you're going to find that a lot of times the people that you serve, they're your avatar, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it just, for me, it happens to be the female version of me, right? So like um uh that's where your story comes in, folks. And if you don't have it dialed in and you can't actually just share, like if you don't feel comfortable sharing it and you're throwing a lot of and you're throwing, if you're not confident in it, it's 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 not helpful. And the reason that you're not confident is probably because you don't know how to put it together. You don't know how to actually share your story, or you might not even know what it is. And that's where you come in. That's why we love you, and that's your zone of genius. So it's huge.
Thank you. Thank you. So I love what you said about that when you're willing to be vulnerable, that people want to be in your circle. They want to, be around you. And I think that that's a perfect way of demonstrating the know, like, and trust factor.
Yeah,
Is that, people lean in to people that they know and they like and they trust. And when you're vulnerable, that bridge can be, constructed between two people.
for sure. Absolutely. It builds a bond, right?
Yeah.
People uh, come back to the movie, right?
Yeah.
You get attached to these characters, right? And you're the
Yeah.
character of your own movie.
Yes. On that note, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, Matt. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you on more stages.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And I thank you for all that you do. Folks, if you have not gotten into your story, if you haven't done this, jump in. It's worth, it's everything, folks. So thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you.